When Kirby Smart talks, you better listen.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. I'm Clint here talking today about Kirby Smart and the news that he's given us about a couple of key additions in the portal that have come over, a couple of key additions in the freshman class that have come over, as well as guys that have stayed with Georgia in the development so far in spring as we look forward to what's happening going on. Glad you're here. If you're an everydayer, we appreciate you so much. LockedOnBulldogs.supercast.com. Today's three segments are this. Kirby Smart talks about player development, talks about explosiveness and quarterback play in the first segment. And that's where we're going to begin with all the news and notes that Kirby Smart has given us. I think this one's really important, talking about a number of key additions that have come to Georgia and have been part of the program for a long time. And relatively new. Isaiah Canyon's been talked about. Isaiah Gibson's been talked about. We're going to get to what it looks like for Jamarlee and the rest of them, and what the transfer class, both in the defensive back room as well as wide receiver, have given us. But I start here with quarterback because it's really crucial we understand both what we might see as a negative and what many are propositioning to us as a positive. Jake Fromm has talked about it. Kirby Smart's talked about it. I'm going to give you what Kirby Smart talked about and said, because it looks to us and it sounds to us that Gunner Stockton is dealing a little bit with maybe what he's banged up. Here's what Kirby Smart said this week. He's great. He's practicing. Had a little off-season injury. He's fine now. He was limited a little bit for the first couple of days, but he's out there competing, doing a great job, focusing on things that need to improve on, competing with other guys, that things to be improved on. I want to just talk for a moment. Jake Fromm said this, and I think he's dead on, as well as a couple other people who picked up the story. And I think this is significant because if you hear what Kirby talked about earlier on in the offseason, he talked about explosive plays for the offense and needing the explosiveness to come from Gunner Stockton's ability to read defenses and read the correct route that is going to be open depending on what the defense gives him, and not just trying to use his just flat out stupid ability to get plays done, to force balls into areas. There were 2 interceptions last year that he looked completely lost and completely out of the loop on where linebackers and DBs were and where his receivers should have been. This next year, where we need to see the offense improve, is not Mike Bobo calling better plays. Mike Bobo is calling great plays. It's Gunner Stockton executing, and it's our running backs getting more than 15 yards for explosive plays. More on that in a second, because Kirby Smart also talked about Nate Frazier and Chauncey Bowens. And a little bit, I'm not going to lie to you, a little thing that happened where I'm sad of what Chauncey said, because it breaks my heart. It's something that I hate hearing, but I digress. Gunner Stockton, injured, banged up a little bit. We don't know the exact extent of the injury, nor will we ever, because Kirby keeps things in-house. You should be appreciative of that, as I am. These are young men who are dealing with a lot, and the more that Kirby Smart keeps things in-house and lets their play dictate what we think of them, the better for all of us. Gunner Stockton being injured means that he can't rely on just how strong, fast, tough he is. It's called leading with a limp, walking with a limp, doing things with one arm tied behind your back. It makes you a better athlete. It makes you a better leader. It makes you a better player. And Gunner Stockton is doing that right now, where he is learning on how to be a quarterback without his full fledgling of assets at his disposal. He can't just pull the ball down and say, I'm going to truck you as I go for a first down. I'm going to take on the impact of a hit as I go for a first down, as I get 8, 9, 10 yards or a touchdown, or I scramble out of the pocket and I extend the play a little bit. Those things aren't there for him. What's happening is that Gunner Stockton has to rely on something that is always there mechanically and thought process. Thing you can't have happen unless you have a concussion, unless that injury is significantly confusing your ability to mentally prepare for a game, is that you can read defenses, you could stay in the pocket, you cannot be as mobile as others, and you could be deadly accurate with your mechanics. These are all true. You might be able to plant off a back foot, might be able to hurl it with such absolute force that Gunner Stockton does have. He has a cannon of an arm. You might not be able to do that, but what you can do is you can be accurate. You can go ahead and play within your current system. I know people hate hearing that. I hate hearing that, but it's good as a discipline tool. This is honestly, I'm not comparing football to the military services. I would never do that. Never compare anything to military services, but I will say this. The best way that you train for something is, I'll use Mike Tyson. How about that? Mike Tyson says the best plans, this is really anybody that's been in boxing. He's reused it from everybody else who's reused it before him. Plans go out the window when you taste your own blood. When you get punched in the mouth, when you get punched in the face, plans go out the window. When you have perfect planning and perfect execution, when you script out 2 drives, when you do that whole thing, you practice it forever, yada, 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 yada. Things typically go well. It's when you don't have the perfect plan and you're out facing the enemy, the opposition. Again, I'm not my best to make any likeness to military service. When you face the opposition and when you can't just execute according to you, that's golf. Golf is that way. You know the lay of the land. It's beautiful sport. Love it to death. It's not football. Football, you need to be able to, when you're not your best, go out there and still pick up a first down. When the defense doesn't give you exactly what you thought they were going to, when the disguise, when the blocking, when 11 guys have perfect synchronization, aren't, shockingly, they're seldom perfectly in synchronization. You have to be able to be disciplined and do other things to get a victory on first, second, third down. Gunner Stockton is doing exactly that. And this is great news for Georgia fans on the precipice of a season where we need Gunner Stockton, need him to take a step forward. He's a good player. I might even say a great player. He's not an elite player yet because he hasn't won a playoff game, SEC championship. More on that in a second. He needs to take a step forward in his passing accuracy, his passing acumen, his reading of the defense. And this is the perfect way to do it. In all honesty, hampering him, holding him, restricting him, pulling him back, not letting him all of a sudden just say, I know I'm better. I know I'm faster. This is what got this kid a Scully in the first place. What's got this kid records all over the place in high school ball. He was better than everybody else. Well, the SEC is full of guys who are better than everybody else. And what I need, Gunner, is execution, discipline, precision. I need that step forward, and I think he's going to take that step forward. He's not just a gunslinger this year. He can't be. If we are going to win playoff games, he needs to be surgical. Spring ball is where it's at, and I think so far he's doing just that. We're going to come back after this, and I'm going to let you know why there's a couple of names that Kirby Smart's talking about that, excuse me, he said what about them? But first, these. And these are, in fact, TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment, that's not the most convenient. Sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. This year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. Just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting with a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Talking about Kirby Smart and what he has said so far this spring ball, talking about Gunner Stockton. He's talked about the offensive line. I'm going to talk about them very, very briefly in a big, big sense, but I'm going to get to a couple names in which Kirby singled out and talked about specifically. I'm going to start first with Chauncey Bowens and Nate Frazier, running back room at UGA. Huge get in both of them coming back. There was this flirtatious thing looking at the NIL and transfer portal and what that looks like. Talked about that actually, about Nate Frazier coming back and re-signing with Georgia. Kirby Smart had a little snip to say at this, said everybody signs with Georgia, re-signs with Georgia. It's very seldom that we don't have a guy re-sign. Meaning this, let me talk Kirby's real quick with you about the Nate Frazier situation. If Kirby wants you on the team, he will find a way to keep you on the team. Okay? Now, that angers some of us because we lost a defensive end last year who wound up having the season of his life for Mizzou and could have used some sack disruption for us. You have to say, based on what Kirby's saying, he says, guys, re-sign with Georgia. The quote is, everybody re-signs with Georgia. You guys make this big deal. It's not a big deal to me. Of course they re-signed with us, meaning guys that typically go in the transfer portal out of Georgia are Kirby's way of saying, go get you some, son. Like, go elsewhere and have a blast. If you can get somebody to pay you something that I'm not willing to pay you, okay, go for it. Now, what's wild about that, again, almost every player resigns, so that's not a big deal. It's the exact quote he says. I'm happy with the progress. I'm happy that the room's progressed, talking about the running back. We have to break some more tackles in there. We have some guys that can play third down. I don't know how to tell this to you, Georgia fan. If you haven't prepared your head and your heart for this, I don't know what to tell you. So let me break it to you now and let me help. Cash Jones is going to be sorely missed on this team. Cash Jones was an integral part. Now, a lot of you remember in that third and long couple of times in which Cash Jones is the play call, and you guys are losing your mind because Mike Boba, how dare he do so? It's fine with the play call. Execution needed to be better a couple times. And actually, Cash Jones got a couple first downs on those plays. Fine with the play call because Kirby Smart, Mike Bobo are trying to execute at high degrees of blitz pickup, catching the ball out of the backfield, not just being the stereotypical running back. Those days are gone. You have to be a full, complete package of running back. And Nate Frazier and Johnson Bones needs to accelerate in blitz pickup as well as pass catching. We can't just rely single-handedly. This year, we don't have a Cash Jones. I'm sorry. We don't. Every year we've had a guy that is able to do that. Cash Jones was that for seemingly 6 years. But it seems that there has been somebody on third down that's going to be able to read the defense, pick up the blitz, go scan from inside out, not lose an assignment on a blitzing linebacker, on a stunt, anything like that. Catch the ball in the backfield, get a couple of yards, screen pass, a quick little half sweep motion where the tackle releases late and gets out there and is an extra blocker on the outside. I don't know, Nate Frazier, Chauncey Bowens, how they're going to do so. They have to progress in this part of their game. If they spent the entire offseason doing that, Kirby Smart says, breaking tackles and third down, breaking tackles, third down. They are fast. They are strong. They know the assignment. They're elusive. They have to get yards after first contact. That stat, look for that stat to be improved. Kirby's talking about it now as a point of emphasis. So I think they're going to be doing a good job, doing a lot of skill assessment, skill training, a lot of focus within that, probably a lot of late whistles, if I'm going to be honest. Probably that offensive side, when Kirby goes ahead and gets that whistle, he's probably holding everybody back saying, don't blow that whistle yet. Don't you dare on first contact. We can come up with a bang injury here and there, and we're going to go ahead and get through that. We're early on in the spring, but don't you dare have an early whistle. I want these guys fighting through contact, fighting through, being elusive, setting up the guy in the hole to make sure to miss them, as well as catching out of the backfield, as well as blitz pickup. I mean, these are such foundational elements to the explosiveness that we need. Gunner Stockton is not going to have explosive play if he doesn't have more than 2 seconds to throw the football. Catching out of the backfield, you need to go ahead and break those tackles because 3rd and 5 comes along, 3rd and 6 comes along. You catch anything that's short of the sticks, you got to get to the first down. Most of the time, offensively, you want to call a pass play that's going to go ahead and get you from the sticks and beyond, so that if they can't get yards after catch, if they can't break a tackle, it's okay. We've already picked up the first down. But again, C.1, that has always happened. You have to be prepared in all situations, and that's where a dangerous back out of the backfield who can make someone miss, get an extra 3 yards after they catch a 3-yard pass, and when everybody's rallying up, Kirby will say the same thing on the other side, on defense. You have to keep the play in front of us. Cash Jones is going to be sorely missed. I don't know who is going to be. I don't know if it's Chauncey Bowens. I don't know who Nate Frazier is all of a sudden going to turn into, because Nate Frazier is dang good catching some passes so far, but his bread and butter is between the tackles, slicing and dicing, getting extra yards. Chauncey Bowens, same thing. The thing that I was referring to earlier that was much to my chagrin, Chauncey Bowens likens himself to thunder and lightning. I hate that phrase with 1,000%. Oh, it pains me. If he says it, though, I got to go with it. They are a running back tandem that is between the tackles. You cannot become one-dimensional like that. You cannot have a running back in and know that, hey, I don't have to dedicate man coverage. I don't have to do anything zone to the flats. I don't have to do anything on any vertical element to the running back, any wheel route when they come out of the backfield. It's non-threatening to us. Kirby Smart does not want to be pigeonholed and put between a rock and a hard place offensively. He wants every running back on every play to be able to be that threat where somebody says, I don't know if I can keep up with him on a wheel route. They have to put that on film. They have to put that in the back of the head of every defensive coordinator, because without that, now all of a sudden your arsenal on offense, you become very, very one-dimensional, and the defense can go ahead and get after you in lots of different capacities. That's when running back isn't a threat of the backfield. He has to stay in, and even blitz pickup, he's not great at. So you send a linebacker. It's a quick read, right? Man coverage. If he stays in, go. He's not going to be out there on a screen, because we can go ahead and rally up on him, because his pass catching ability and catching and continue to run is not great. So if he stays in the backfield, go. Zoom. Get after it. I hate that. I don't like that. We had some answers last year. This year, it's up in the air. We need to know who that's going to be. And I think we only have a couple answers. We don't know about Bo Walker, his ability totally right now. We think we do, but he could be somebody that might develop into that. I haven't seen it so far. If I was to ask you who's going to lead this backfield in receptions right now, it's not great. It's not something that I want to really put my hat on right now. We're going to come back on this. There's some defensive-minded coaches on this team. Duh. It's Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann. But, man, can I just tell you, this is wild what they said about two particular Bulldogs, and it should make you salivate. But first, these. And, friends, this is, in fact, Robinhood. Robinhood's fantastic. You need to get over there and you need to get to know them in such a bad way. And if you haven't been doing so already, get to it, because what if sports are traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I actually can take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just spectator play-by-play. You decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Events contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. But that's not all. Our fine friends over at FanDuel have something to say too. If you haven't been with FanDuel, just straight up, what are you doing? Guys, FanDuel's fantastic. They're the best in the business. Get over there right now. Tournament is here. Final Four is upon us. Get on the action with brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a way to stay in the action. $300 backs in bonus bets every day for 10 days. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, even same game parlays. It's perfect for the tournament because every day there's something new. Visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com. Get in the action with FanDuel. All right, we are back talking about a couple names that Kirby Smart is talking about. If Kirby Smart's talking about it, maybe you should be too, because it's absolutely phenomenal. He's talking about. We talked about Gunner Stockton progressing even when being hampered or held back a little bit, fighting with one arm behind his back, if it were. to give a little bit of boxing analogy. We talked about a couple names on the offensive side, running back room, and who we're going to miss. I think Cass Jones is sorely going to be missed until we further find out who can carry the torch for blitz pickup as well as receiving out of the backfield. But if I could just say, generally, Kirby Smart has said he's pleased with the work and injury bug's not there. So two biggest things that you want to hear coming out of spring: no one's hurt and our guys are working hard. This is Kirby Smart's bread and butter. The years that guys aren't working hard, we know about it early, we hear about it, and those teams haven't been up to par with the standard, and the standard being national championship level team. When we're not there, Kirby is more than ready to share with us that we're not there. And he has before. This year, he's already said, no, I think we're okay. I think we got a hardworking crew and nobody's really hurt that bad. Talking about the offensive line, a couple names that he said he has 3 groups of 5 that he's working through, 15, lots of reps. And he says nobody really sticks out, right? We got 3 or 4 guys rolling in at center, probably 7, 8 guys rolling in guard, 6 or 7 guys rolling in at tackle, all competing for times reps. I'm pleased with that group. Nobody really sticks out. They're working hard. Here's what this should tell you. I don't think this is a lie. I think this is just his honest truth. I think the offensive line that Daniel have been saying for this entire offseason is going to be an absolute strength for us. We have dudes up and down. We have unheralded 3 stars, a bunch of them that I think are developing quite well. And don't pencil in anybody quite yet. Juan Gaston, Dontrell Glover, sure. Drew Bobo, after injury. Don't put anybody else down that you know are going to be starting for this offensive line. I'm just serious. I've said Ogbogu could be a guy starting at right tackle for us. Ernest Green came back, but there's a lot of guys who didn't transfer because I think this is true. This is a huge competition and 15 guys rolling out. He listed lots of reps. He's pleased with everybody. I think Kirby Smart likes this offensive line group as a whole, and whoever comes out of this as a top 6, he's going to be pleased with. I say top 6 because of the swing guy. He's going to be more than thrilled with. A couple of other names. Can we talk about Elijah Griffin? When asked, Kirby Smart gets the floor. And this is what he says. He could have said anything. People, he could have said anything. Disruptive twitchiness. Okay, we're going to get to a caveat of that, why it's not all golden, because Elijah Griffin's got to grow in one regard. Kirby Smart said it. I agree with Kirby. How easy is that? When you say you agree with Kirby, how safe is that play? I know. But it's what exactly film said, and we saw from him last year. We saw explosivity. We saw continuous disruption. We saw a lot of problems that he made for people and continual growth, but we didn't see one thing that Kirby talked about. But before I get that, he just listed him as disruptive twitchiness. Beat guys with his quickness and makes plays in the backfield. Here's what he means. Kirby Smart has said he's more talented than everybody else we got. He's more talented than whoever you got. Now, if you've listened to Kirby long enough and you know football, talent is great. It's not everything. It's not everything. Kirby says he's quick for his size, and just being unblockable is what we like to see. Meaning this: he's talented, he's special, he's physically dominant. Either technique and skill or attitude. What I say in segment 1, relying on your given ability. Things are going to make us better front is harder he is to block. The one trait that I've always, that he says, I think I've always found in defensive linemen, I tell the players is, are you hard to block? People that are hard to block, number 1, they usually make a lot of money. They also cause a lot of disruption. Ooh, baby. Elijah Griffin, all-world talent. Can he be somebody that through either his read of the offense and his knowledge mentally to know how to skate around, to basically not touch another person? That's really hard in football. But can you get get in a position in which you are unblockable because the other guy can't get you in time. That's being heady. Or number two, and by the way, Kirby says, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that he's not yet, meaning he's growing into that. The better he gets, he's got the capabilities of being an elite player. They cause a lot of disruption because they have to go 2-3 guys to chip off you, block off you, get to the second level. They have to dedicate a lot of time, energy, focus onto you. You can go ahead and push a pulling guard back into the backfield, disrupt any power play. You can go ahead and stop a scheme of zone. You can go ahead and clog up the middle and make it spill to the all-talented linebackers that we have. Raylan Wilson, hello. All those can happen. Elijah Griffin needs to be unblockable. The more he's unblockable, the more Jalen Carter he becomes. He had a better season, I think, last year because how do I even say this? How do I say that he might be more physically gifted than Jalen Carter? I don't know if I can say that, but I want to. Oh, I want to. Long pause. I think that if he learns, a student of film, a student of offensive tendencies, if he can start calling plays, Jalen Carter did this a bunch. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter both did this, where they just say, they're going right here. This is where they're going to be like, son of a gun. They know. The more that they do that, the more that he does that, I should say, harder it is to block. And then the ability he has to fight over blocks, to not just simply be twitchy and disruptive, but also bring with it technique and heavy hands. Kirby Smart will talk about that a ton as well. Heavy-handedness. Meaning when you put hands, it's felt, it's concrete gloves. And you're like, wow, where is this power coming from? Old man strength is another way of just simply putting it. Can these guys become Jalen Carter? And Jalen Carter became disruptive. Again, we listed the stats for Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter didn't have record-breaking sack totals, but he's one of the most disruptive forces because he knew how to play defensive line well. Elijah Griffin needs to know how to play defensive line well, be a student of the game, have a motor that doesn't quit, and be disruptive and unblockable. And that's going to go ahead and get him into the league. He's already going to league, but into the league. Elite, millions of dollars, tons of money. He's got Kirby Smart to thank for it. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Daniel will be back tomorrow. We talk about them Bulldogs all off season. We care about it because you guys care about it. We'll see you guys then. Be well.